You expired, O Jesus, but the source of life gushed forth for souls, and an ocean of mercy opened up for the whole world. O fount of life, unfathomable divine mercy, envelop the whole world and empty yourself out upon us. O blood and water, which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus as a fount of mercy for us, I trust in you. O blood and water, which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus as a fount of mercy for us, I trust in you. O blood and water, which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus as a fount of mercy for us. I trust in you.
Hello and good afternoon and Merry Christmas. Today is another day, season two. I'm sorry, is it season two or season three? Episode two of At the Hour of Three. And as you can see from our background, it's really very much Christmas time. And since December 1, the first Wednesday of At the Hour of Three, we have been bringing you a series of healing, a series of knowledge on how to heal ourselves, how to heal our family. And we also invited uh, someone who is trained into the healing, into the wellness, and into the deeper recesses of brokenness. Last week we had Sister Maria Lea Sobrado, an RVM nun, who has a PhD on clinical psychology, and she brought us deeper into the meaning of brokenness and its definition and acronym. In fact, it was well said by her because the acronym of brokenness for her is mercy. M, which is spelled out as meditation, E as emptying, R as reaching out, C as communication, and Y is you. Indeed, the emptying and the reaching out was a test to all of us because right after our program last week, the following day, our brothers and sisters in the Visayas and Mindanao were badly hit by Super Typhoon Odette. I was not spared of it because all of my family are in Cebu. And the brokenness that these people, not just Cebu, but Surigao, Davao Oriental, all the way to Bohol, to Cebu, and other parts of our country were greatly devastated with nothing at all in their hands, including my family. And the best I could do is, of course, to reach out to them while there was still power and there was still internet, the very little left. I could not even bring them a single bottle of water because there was no water at all. Even if I send money, they cannot buy anything. So they really experienced that for 4 to 5 days. So that brokenness spelled out by Sister Leah last week of reaching out was the best I can do myself, and I'm sure a lot of people has done. And of course, the prayer and the entrusting them to the mercy of God that everything will be fine. And indeed, a lot of improvements has happened. Internet has come to the reach of most of them. Of course, there's still no water in large parts of Cebu and Bohol and Surigao. So we continuously pray for all of them. So it was also because of that calamity where my own family was stricken that I forgot to post the question for the raffle, which I promised to all of you, and I apologize for that. Babawi ako. Tomorrow I will post two questions for our raffle that we will continue. And then, ito na sa page natin ha, sa at the hour of three, it will not be here. So that you can also make some research, and then whoever will give the first answer will be, of course, the winner for two Dathenia skincare products. Two boxes ito. So that's a promise tomorrow. And this afternoon, I would like to introduce to you, of course, my partner who will be bringing us to a much lighter Divine Mercy episode. It will be fun, it will be beautiful, and I would like to say good afternoon, Singapore. So I'd like to introduce Miss Georgie Ilaganbian.
Good afternoon to all of you. Merry Christmas. It's December 22, 2 more days or 3 more days, and it's Christmas time. So, amidst all the devastations that our brothers and sisters from the Visayas and in some parts of Mindanao really suffered because of the typhoon, we did offer 24-hour chaplets and a prayer for them. So this afternoon, in the because of the happiness of the season, we have a very important guest with us this afternoon. She is from Singapore but Malaysian by birth. I would like to introduce to you a very good friend again, led by the divine mercy to us and Ida at the hour of three. So her name is Ann Lo Lim, or we will just call her Ann Lim. She is the Divine Mercy Ministry Coordinator of St. Ignatius Church in Singapore. She also is a volunteer and a part of the International Development Group of Jesuit, uh, who takes care of refugees, and she will also share this a little while with you in her sharing. She is an active member. In fact, she represents Singapore in what we call the AACOM, the Asian Apostolic Congress of Divine Mercy or of Mercy. I would like to introduce to you a friend, a sister in the Divine Mercy, a mother, a classical soprano singer, a mother to four doctors, and a mother in law to another four doctors. So, how blessed she can be. She has eight doctors in her family, plus a husband who is also a very successful member of the medical field. So, I'd like to introduce to you this afternoon our guest, Miss Anne Lim. So, Anne, welcome to At the Hour of Three, and welcome to the Philippines. Look, I told you she's so pretty. How pretty she is. Really so blessed. It's a divine mercy who gives her that sparkle and all that glitter in her eyes. I mean, she's not only glittering in personal, in personal aspect, but she's glittering from within. And if you are a devotee of the divine mercy, you know how it is, you know how it feels. So, Anne, okay, would you want to say something before we start, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anne, as just earlier Georgie called me. I'm just Anne. I could be Anne Lo, Anne Lim. Do you want me to start telling them? I mean, a good place to start, like I was telling Georgie, is always from the
Yes,
beginning.
please go ahead, Anne. Tell
Yeah.
us how you met the Divine Mercy for the first time.
Okay, that will be a good place. So, what happened is I come from a very traditional Catholic background. You know, it's like we have our daily night prayers with the family. So, mom and dad were very involved. Not so much in those days, but they were prayerful people. They were, and we were brought up in the faith. So the faith was very central to us. Yeah, and we had the rosary every night. So I'm just going to skip this part. One of the things which stays with me in my memory as a child is when my father was dying. So what happened was he would be in a lot of pain. And my mum and him, they would actually hold the rosary and they would pray the rosary together. But what struck me most was when my dad would be groaning in pain. Mum would always tell him, "Now, you know, Joe," and that's his name, my dad's name is Joe, and she'll always say, "Joe, for the holy souls in purgatory, offer it up. Offer up your pain for the holy souls in purgatory." And I think from the age of 9 years old, 8 years old, I learned this love, which is a giving love, which is also an kind of connected with sacrifice. So from that age, I grew. And then, of course, later on, I got married. Just like Joji said, I married a doctor, a very ambitious doctor, lovely man, and all that. And I've got 4 children. They're also doctors today. They're all they're specialists. In fact, they're all oncologists. That's what it is. You know, so where do I go from there? Anyway, they were in this together. And after that, what happened was, and I used to go to church. I used to attend daily mass. And after mass every evening, I would just stay behind and do my prayer reflection. I would pray and reflect But at the same time with me in the church was this group of elderly people, I would say. And they too would be praying. They would be together and they would be kind of chanting some kind of prayer. And I kind of didn't pay much attention to what they were chanting. But what I was paying attention, I realized after a while, it was to the way they were chanting. And I told myself, you see, I'm a musician by training and I just come back from England. And I told myself, oh my goodness, what are they saying? What are they chanting there? And so instead of praying, I kept on getting distracted and I kept on listening to what they were chanting. But as I listened, I realized that amongst the group, there were quite a few who actually were chanting in tune. They were singing actually very beautifully, but they were being covered by the others whose voices were louder. So finally, I told myself, you know what? I'm going to approach the leader of this group and I'll just go introduce myself. So I went forward and I told him who I am and all that. And I said, you know, I was just wondering, would you all like somebody to accompany you on the piano? I could play the piano while you people chant. And he was so delighted. He said, of course, if you could just do that, you know. So I didn't know who they were, to be honest. I just offered my services, that was it. And it was only in the process of it all later on that I got to know that they were actually the Divine Mercy Apostolic Group. And that was when I started to do my research. I started doing a research on what this is all about, what this Divine Mercy. And the more I prayed on it and reflected, I realized what a beautiful prayer it is, because it is such a simple prayer. It kind of makes you put yourself into that place with Jesus and allow him to just heal you with your brokenness. So acknowledging your brokenness, acknowledging that he is the only one who can heal us. So I told myself, it's such a beautiful prayer. And I started praying it. And I introduced it to my friends and I introduced it to my family. And of course, I introduced it to my children who actually are now praying the Divine Mercy Chaplet with their friends. So this is the thing about the Divine Mercy that I found. Now, where is Joji? Joji, am I still here? I'm supposed to go on. Okay.
Then,
so anyway, yes.
So you say music is really the language of the soul, and the Divine Mercy calls us, you know, in different ways. In fact, in a funny way, like Anne, she was just listening and she wanted to improve the accompaniment probably, or the music, because you're a musician then. So Divine Mercy calls us in different ways, you know, even while we are not always in the most serious way. So Anne, you know, Anne gets to see the Pope. She's so blessed to have always be able to have an audience with our Holy Father, the Pope. Anne, can you please tell our listeners about the work that you do also in the refugees, and how
Yes.
you bring the Divine Mercy to the different camps, which I know many of us have not,
Yes.
almost all of us who are here with you have not been to that camp, to those camps.
Yes. So, well, I was very blessed actually because I come from a Jesuit a parish. So one day, and I know quite a few of them. So one day, the international director of Jesuit Refugee Services approached me as a friend, and he said to me, "Anne, why don't you come in and join us in this IDG? It is called the International Development Group. So what we do is it is an international group with people all over the world." And I said, okay. So we went to Rome. But the beautiful thing about this IDG is it's not only me going, it's actually together with my husband. And so my husband is also a cardiologist. So we went together. It was a husband and wife team going together to Rome. And that was then of course, we met up with the Pope, and we know that Pope Francis has this deep, deep love for the refugees. And just recently, I think in Advent, what happened was Pope Francis went to Lesbos, which is in one of the islands in Greece. And the words he used were so beautiful. He said to them, I have come to see your faces and to look into your eyes. So do not be afraid, he told them. And at the same time, he said to us, he said, you must not be afraid to go near the refugees because they are the body of Christ. For me, that is such a revelation because I work with the refugees and I've been to the camps. And I realized that most of us, even though that we work in the camps and all that, we tend to see these refugees more as, collective people, just a group of people. But here, Pope Francis is telling us, no, they're not just collective. They are with a face. They are with dignity. They are human people, just as you and I are. And this dignity has to be reinforced by all of us. So these refugees, as I mentioned to Georgie earlier, I said I went to the camps because I thought if I work with the GRS Refugee Services, I have to go to the camps to see them. So I was very blessed. It is actually a very beautiful experience if you can ever go there, but it's tough to go there. So we went with some of the priests, and the camp I visited, I visited 3 camps, but I'll tell you about the camp that I went to in Mae Hong Son. Mae Hong Son is at the borders. They are the borders of Myanmar and Thailand. Yeah. So to get there, you got to fly from Singapore. We fly all the way to Chiang Mai, and then from there we take another plane right up to the mountains of Mae Hong Son there. And after that, you got to take a tractor, it's a 4-wheel tractor, deep into the jungle land. And you go through rivers. It's a very dangerous journey. What was sad as I was journeying through, I told myself, the forest is so thick. The jungle, the land, there is no road. Everything is just laterite and mud. And I said, what are we doing here? You see, what happens is because refugees are a shame, are a scourge to humanity. So what they do is they hide them away. They hide them away, far away, so that when we don't see them, it doesn't matter. So anyway, I went to the camp there and I did. So I was telling Georgie that actually I have my degree in psychology, clinical psychology, as well as my degree in music. So I went there to do music therapy with the people there. And I don't know how to tell you that, but you see, these people are so broken. They are so wounded that they have built many, many layers over themselves so that they become numbed to that pain. Because if they remain in that pain, they will become despairing souls. They will just lose it. But so I use music therapy, and actually before I went there, I learned a few of their local songs, you see. And through music therapy, I was able to help them to go through their pains together, always in the presence of the Divine Mercy. So I brought the Divine Mercy with me there, and we helped them to work through their pains, their traumas, but with the Divine Mercy. So they're able to vocalize. So I don't know whether any of you have been through music therapy classes. It is essentially a lot of chords. We play a lot of chords. And these chords sometimes we start off very softly, and we always start with, it's a humming. It's always just a humming of yourself. And then slowly, very slowly, you break into sounds. Sounds like just, ah, oh, And then you go, oh. So you enter deeper into yourself, but always remembering we're in the presence of the Lord. So that experience was very good for me, because what I realized is, even though these refugees were in the camps, their faith in God is so strong. And it puts me to shame, because they live in wooden buildings, and it's all mud. They don't have floor. There's no cement. They sleep on cardboards and all that. And but in spite of it, they hung on to their faith. And because of their faith, I was able to help them penetrate deeper into the core. So one of the things I noticed when I was there is there was this man there. He kind of looked like a refugee, but my sensing was he was not actually a refugee. So after my session, I went to speak to him, and I said to him, "You stay in this camp?" So in this camp, there are about 90,000 refugees, and most of them, sadly enough to say, they are Catholics. They are the Rakhines, they are the Kachins, the Chins. So most of them have run away because of the war, and they are now in Thailand. So I spoke to this man and I said, "You're not a refugee?" And he said, No, I'm not a refugee. So he said, what happened was, because these are all Catholics here, so the refugees had written to the bishop in Myanmar, asking the bishop, "Please, can you send us someone? Just send us a priest to help us to kind of baptize our children, to solemnize our marriages, to hear our confessions, to say Mass for us, because we have not had that for many, many years." And so the Bishop of Myanmar asked his priests for volunteers, you see. So some of them volunteered. And then, of course, he wrote into UN and to Thailand authorities to ask for permission to let the priests go into the camps to administer to the refugees. But year after year after year, they never heard from the authorities. And this went on for about 4 or 5 years. So finally, this man, actually he is a priest, he's Father Joe, he told me finally, he said, he decided to go into the camps by the back door. So we know that the camps are in the jungle land, and they're at the borders of Thailand and Myanmar. So he trekked through these borders. He trekked right through the borders, just going through, walking and walking and walking, and finally entering the camp. And he stayed there with the refugees, running around, saying Mass for them, hearing their confessions. So he said, "I am here, but I am here with no permission. So if I'm caught," I say, "What happens if you're caught?" He says, "I'll be shot. No questions asked, because they will think I'm a spy. What am I doing here?" So, as I say, when we go to the camps, we may see the pain, we may see the sufferings, but I also see people like Father Joseph who are willing to sacrifice their lives just to bring Christ to other people. So when I was there, actually what we did was we taught them the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and then we kind of distributed out the medals, and we gave them some posters and all that to put in their rooms and all that, and they were so grateful. They were just so grateful. I don't know how to sing to you in Myanmese, in their language, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, but all I can tell you is it's very beautiful. It just goes into your heart, it is like, because it's like a cry from the heart, the chanting. It's so beautiful. So this is where I am. And of course, I went to Bogor in Indonesia, And there they are, the Afghanistan refugees there. And again, they are hidden away. So again, I went there to do music therapy, but this time I did it with the children and the mothers. So we have a lot of children who are unaccompanied. You know, some mothers just give their children to other relatives to take care for them, and they bring them there. And yeah, so this was what happened. And I did, and so they were in the midst of performing for a concert for the UN. And I think you all know the song which they, in the camps, they love to sing is the Michael Jackson song, Heal the World. You know, and so again, when I went there, they were like singing all over the place, Heal the world, make your brother place. And it was like, oh my goodness, you can't sing that for the concert. I was telling myself. So anyway, I told the priest to bring in the keyboard. So we had the keyboard there. And again, you know, I started teaching them how to do the music therapy. And one of the things about children is you give them that space to actually shout out their pain. You see, we normally do before we start music, we always try to get them to vocalize. No singing, no words, but just essentially vowels, just singing in vowels, whether it's ah or whether it's oh, you know, but it's just allow them this place, this freedom to express. And you will be surprised. These children, as they just sang out the vowels, they were in tears. There was no music, nothing, but it was just allowing them to hear their own voice. And I think many of them, because they are so traumatized, they no longer speak. So one of the mothers who was there, she was telling me, you know, this is the first time I see my daughter speaking. She said, for years, my daughter just sat in the corner and she would not sing. She would not say anything. She would just come and eat, take her food, and she'd go and sit in the corner. But she said, this is the first time she is able to shout out so loud. So what we're saying here is music therapy is very good. But again, I do it not in the usual mode of music therapy, but actually with Christ. I always tell them, we will now put divine mercy in our midst. We will pause a while and we will just keep silence for a while. And in that silence, I ask you to breathe in love and to breathe out love. Now, for me to say breathe in love and breathe out love is very easy. But for refugees who have been traumatized, it is very difficult because they have been abused. They have been beaten up. So they can't breathe out love. So what I normally tell them to do is just breathe in life, the life that you desire, you know, and the life of the past, breathe that out. So it's more a therapy, but always in the presence of God, and then allow God to hold you as you continue to breathe. And then I will normally go into the vowels. I normally use a lot of vowels. And then slowly we will then introduce certain phrases. We will introduce certain chants. I do a lot of Taizé chants. I don't know whether you have heard of this one, which is called the one which is quite good. Oh, adoramus te, O Christe. And then they just go to, oh, and they will cry because it's like telling God, this is what I'm feeling. But it's very therapeutic because they hold on to the divine mercy as they're singing it. You know, it's very powerful when you do music therapy with the divine mercy. Or sometimes we give them medals and they hold on to their medals as they are crying. You know, they don't say anything. They just say, oh, I just teach them that. And then slowly, slowly, they begin to go into their own songs. Like this Afghanistan, they go into their own songs. So one of the songs, like I said, we taught them was this heal the world. So we had this concert with the United Nations, some of their officers and all that. So I told them, I said, no, 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 you cannot sing just like that. When you go in front of this concert, you got to sing properly, you know? And these children are so beautiful. They just, they somehow find it within themselves. And as I left the camp, you could hear every one of them just singing, Heal the World. And everybody was singing, the mothers and the fathers, and they all were just saying and looking at each other. So this is the thing about music, So music is very powerful. Yeah, that's what, So, yeah. I don't know what else I can tell you about the refugees. Well, I mean, we had the audience with the Pope. That's what I can tell you if you would like to know about the audience with the Pope. The Pope is a very, very simple man. He's surrounded by all these cardinals and all these big wigs and all that. And then you're all dressed up, and you think you're going to visit this guy, And suddenly he comes in very quietly. He just comes in. He just walks very quietly. And then the beautiful part about this Pope, which really touched me, was because we must remember the Pope is a Jesuit. Yeah. So with us in the audience was Father General. That time it was Adolfo. And you would think that the Pope, being such a person in high authority, he would definitely go and just sit down in his chair. But I tell you what he did. He just walked up and he went straight to Adolfo, Father Adolfo, the Father General of the Jesuits. And he went there, he hugged him, and he kissed his hand. It's like the Pope acknowledging Adolfo, you are still my superior. I am the Pope, yes, but you are still my superior. That humility in him, it's amazing. And of course, we were the only ones who were allowed to kind of see the Pope. We could go up there, shake hands with him. We took our photos, and of course, they gave us the souvenirs and all that. But we had some refugees with us because we work with refugees. And the refugees, they kind of broke through the barriers in the hall. We were in this big hall, in the salon. And they don't know how they came inside. And they broke through and they came up to the Pope. And the cardinals and the guards immediately came to stop them. But Pope Francis just spoke a few words to his cardinal. And I think that what he said was, let them come. They are here. I want them. So he came forward and he went to hug each and every one of them. And I told myself, my goodness, this guy, he's so humble, It's amazing. It's amazing. That humility, that saintliness in him.
Hear a pin drop, I would think, if there would be. Like everything is so solemn and you could hear a pin drop. I would like to share with you what Miss Anne said about the message of His Holiness Pope Francis. It's 107th World Day of Migrants and Refugees 2021. His main message was towards an ever wider we. That's what Miss Anne was sharing with us earlier, that in the comforts of our homes, there are refugees which we are not aware of, and that we need to embrace them in our hearts, that they become a part of we. It's not they, because they you could just imagine the refugees. They have no homes. They're out of their homeland. They're entirely in a foreign land, and yet they crave, I think they crave for love, right? They crave for love. They crave for sympathy. Probably you could just imagine yourself if you are away from home, all alone. And Anne goes there. She's very fortunate because she's been part of that group who can go inside. I know, Anne, not everyone can go inside the refugee camps. They're very careful. on the kind of person that goes inside for very good reasons, I would believe. So
Yeah.
Anne is very fortunate that she brings with her, including us, the divine mercy to the refugees. And I think that the fact that you are a musician, Anne, and that you sing
Mhm.
connects you immediately to them, because I have seen in pictures, or even in news, when a
Mm.
stranger enters a refugee camp, the natural tendency is to back off, right?
Yes,
To
yes,
back off and see who is this person again, what does she want from us. So it's
yes,
so
yes,
nice. I could just imagine when you sang, and that they were holding on to their medals or to the divine mercy images, and the music just resonates in their hearts, and it kind
yes,
of, even though they probably could not understand what you are
yeah,
saying, but the
mhm,
music kind of
yes,
connects you. And I was listening to you singing, and I could feel it even here in the comforts of my home. I could feel the solemnity, and
yeah.
this.
It's just helping them to get in touch with their deeper core, because
Yes.
because when we do that, when you go into your deeper core, especially oh, oh, so it's taking your breath, singing out that breath,
And it
you know.
provides a release, I think.
Yes,
All that pent
yes,
up hurt,
yes, yes,
brokenness, it
yes.
kind of
Yeah, it is
it
true.
provides a release.
And it is non-threatening, because if you tell me about your problems, people
Mm.
tend to, I don't know you. Why would I want to tell you my things? And then you might tell it to other people, you know? But whereas you're telling them, so normally what sometimes we do in music therapy is we give them drums. We give them drums, and which is like they just beat, beat. You see, so they kind of go accordingly, and you will realize as you watch them beat, because we are trained to notice the kind of beating that they get involved in. So when they beat in an aggressive way, there's a lot of trauma, or some they don't want to touch it at all. So, like I said, in the camps, the thing about this is some of these women have been abused, and some of these children are also abused. You see, so sometimes the trauma is so deep, it's very hard for them to express it. Very difficult, you
So
know?
that would take time. But the fact that you were able to bring the Divine Mercy devotion to them,
Yes,
and that you were able to do baptize some of their children, the
yes,
sacrament of marriage to some of them, probably
yes,
the anointing of the sick to those who
yes,
are really very
yes,
sick. Moving
yes.
forward, Anne, can you
Mhm.
you you were so excited to share to us earlier about what you do, Divine Mercy in Action. I love that. Divine Mercy in Action. So what's
Yes.
the action all about? We should learn from what you are doing.
Okay, so what I did was, because in 2019 I started this. It's very strange. I mean, call it the hand of God or whatever it is. In 2019 I started this platform called Divine Mercy in Action. You see, and strangely enough, COVID came, and churches were closed, ministries were all disbanded. And so what I did was, I got in touch with the poor in Singapore. We started in Singapore first. So we realized that because of the COVID, a lot of the poor were affected. So some of them, their husbands are in prison. Some of them, they have lost their jobs. Some of them, their husbands are sick and they are daily wage earners, but also at the same time, the earnings have been taken away from them because of the COVID. So what we did was, I got a few friends together, and we bought sewing machines. And we got these sewing machines, and we took them and we gave it to them. We gave it to these people, these ladies and all that. And from there, after giving it to them, we taught them how to sew masks. You see, so we gave them the materials. We went to buy the materials. I went to buy the materials, and I bought I got them scissors, the sewing machines, the materials, the thread, and everything. We provide everything. Then we kind of teach them. Some of them, we tell them, you got your phones. Okay, we Zoom with you now, and we teach you how to sew masks. So I send them the templates, and we taught them how to sew masks. And for every mask that they sew, we pay them $5. So that gives them a steady income. So of course, when they first started, so what when we collect all the masks from them, those which are not so well sewn, we distribute it to the poor. We give it to India, Africa. We pack them out. But at the same time, those which are of certain standard, which are quite good, I sell it to my friends. And I tell them, look, just pay a little bit extra. I said, you know, the cost of it is $5. If you can just pay me $8 or $10, it's just to help the poor. So they pay, and then on top of that, they give me the money. This money goes back to the poor. So for every mask that they sew, actually the sewers actually get $10, $12. So which was a steady income of about $300 a month. Singapore, I'm talking of, you see. But later, of course, the masks stopped and all that. We taught them how to sew, you know, like bags, small Christmas bags and all that. Again, it is the marketing. Again, getting friends to just buy and then helping them. So, but after that, I decided to take this Divine Mercy in Action to another level. And I got to know Father Yusuf, one of the Divine Mercy person, who's also Divine Mercy in Pakistan. And I spoke to him and I said, look, why don't we do something for the poor? And I said, you know, let's start again with the sewing, because he said a lot of these women, a lot of these men sometimes have lost their jobs and that have nowhere to go. So I said, okay, so what we can do, I said, is I will try and I'll get you the money and all that. Yeah, then we bought them sewing machines again. And again, it was the same thing, sewing machines, but we didn't get them the material because the Pakistani cotton, the Pakistan itself produces materials, and the materials are actually very, very good. So they didn't need us to go and get materials which would be more expensive. So together with Father Yusuf, both of us kind of started this thing. And just recently, this Christmas, they sent me the dresses that they have sewn. So I'm going to show you one or two. I've not have it ironed yet. Actually, I should have ironed it earlier because they just came, you know. So I'm going to show you. This is what they gave me. You see, it's pretty, isn't it? If I were to wear it, it's very nice. You see, it's beautiful, you know, and it's done so beautifully. See, I should have ironed it, but it's all, and the material is very nice. See, it's all done. And so and this is done by the Pakistani. And so we're just going to market it, and maybe I'm going to try and see. I probably, you know, some of them we sell for about $30 Sing, or because their overhead is quite low because everything is provided for them. So whatever we sell, that money, we give it to them. So they earn quite a lot in that sense, you know. And then there are a few more others. I'll just show you another one, which is actually not bad also, you know.
So, oh, that one's pretty too.
I know. It's pretty, isn't it?
So pretty.
Yeah.
So
I know.
yeah, you won't have difficulty.
No.
You know,
Yeah,
selling it.
selling it to my friends and all that, you know. So we're just trying to. Well, I mean, I'm just trying to just help the poor, because you see, it's easy. What I don't like about helping the marginalized or the poor or the refugees is giving them money. When you give them money, you rob them of their dignity.
Dignity.
Yes. And that's what they don't want. They don't want to become dependent on you because they themselves have their strength. They themselves have their self-worth. So if they sew and you tell them, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. And then you tell them, you give them certain other patterns to do, and they are willing to do and all that. So you kind of build up their self-esteem. Yeah. And then at the same time, they earn a living and they have their dignity. And then if I were to wear this, you know, I probably would just wear it one day. I'll just put on my earrings and all that and just doll myself up and just wear it. And people will be surprised. It's made by the Pakistanis.
Yeah, it will look very elegant.
I think so
with you
too.
wearing it and your friends. And at the same time, you help. At the same time, you instill pride and dignity
Yes,
in the
yes,
labor of their hands.
yes. That is what it is. And I think when we do it for them, they begin to move out from their hurts, their pains, and they begin to dig deeper into themselves to bring out whatever gifts and talents they have to improve themselves. So, from the camps, like some of the camps, many of them have turned out to be doctors, lawyers, and they go back again to the camps to help their people. So, so it is the same with this Pakistani and it's a done. And I was looking at the workmanship. It's good. It's good workmanship. It's not as if, and has even lining. It comes with a lining also. It's not as if, some of these clothes you buy, there is no
Yeah,
lining.
it's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it has lining. I know.
Uh,
So
you have given so much happiness to them this holiday season that they earn and they have money for their
yes,
family. More so now, that it's really very difficult.
it's
Business has been
beautiful.
very slow. Business
Yes,
has been slow, and you're
yes,
correct. You're correct. Giving them money end would not end their poverty. It's just a temporary help, but
yes,
giving them
yes, yes,
livelihood and something to do
yes,
makes
yes,
makes it sustainable for both
yes,
you and them, and you can
yes,
help
yes.
more communities and more women probably by
Yeah,
doing that.
exactly, exactly. So and they're so proud. So I tell them today I'm going to wear when it's Christmas I will wear it and I will wear some of my
How many women? How many when you say women that are Divine Mercy in Action, and how many of you are you?
they
How
are
many of your
about
women in Singapore
well they're all
are in
we
your
have
group?
yeah we have about not a big group. It's not a very big group. It's probably just about 10 of us, you know. So it is more that sort of so it's 10 of us and we try and just do our part for the poor. So, but we are recuperate a kind of getting people. I'm trying to get people else to just come in from all over the world. And what we are doing now with the Divine Mercy, when we have the 24 hours night prayer, which is done by at Akom, that is very good. The Akom thing is very good because it helps us connect with other Divine Mercy people in other countries. And that's how I got to know Father Yusuf Bag also, partly through this, you see. So we were talking, and then now we're also going to Nigeria. I'm talking to one of the other priests there. So we kind of, we in Singapore, we have so much, you know. And I think the poor, especially in COVID, they are really suffering. So, a dollar goes a long way. And so, so just going around. And then, and I don't only do this, but I also did a retreat later under the name of Divine Mercy
A
in
retreat,
action,
okay?
a retreat. So what we did was we approached one of the very famous spiritual director. I don't know if you Google him, you can find out his name. He is called Father Monty Williams. He has got this. He is from St. Regis University, and he is a very good spiritual director. So he's a good friend of mine. And so he told me, Anne, let's do a retreat. But all the earnings that we get will go to the refugees. And I said,
Mm.
yeah, sure. So what we did was, I mean, of course, some of these ladies, they're very good because we tell them, look, the money doesn't come to us. It goes to JRS, to the refugees, you know? So each country, like here in Singapore, we charge them $100. In Malaysia, they charge them their own $100. So other countries, we charge differently according to that standard of living there, you know? And of course, we invited a lot of the nuns and the priests to come in and join because, and they cannot pay. So what I did, I always tell myself, I think sometimes it's the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will kind of move us. And so what I did was I got in touch with a few of my friends, the richer ones, and I said, look, why don't, you come into the retreat also? And, just give me some money. And I will invite these nuns and priests to come. And I will introduce these nuns and priests to you also, so you form a community with them. And And they love that idea. So they give me $1,000, $2,000, 3,000, but it all goes all back to the refugees. So it's
That's a
amazing.
wonderful way. That's a wonderful way of being creative at how to be able to help the
Yes,
refugees
yes,
getting this. Did you have the Advent retreat already, or is it
yes,
still
we had it already. But I will let you know when we have the next one. You must come in because Father Monty talks about brokenness. He talks about the Advent spirit. You see, Advent is actually like what we are here now. I wrote it down somewhere. I said, we are actually all refugees. We are
happening?
all broken. All of us are broken. But it's just that coming together to form a community. But you can only form a community when you are able to bring your fragility, your brokenness into the world. And perhaps because it is Advent, I will just tell you a very, very short story. Okay? This is what
Go
was
ahead.
shared to us in the retreat. So this was during the World War, and there was this Auschwitz camp. I don't know whether you're aware. I think everybody knows. The Nazis had this Auschwitz, and they took all the Jewish and they took them there into these camps and then they burned them alive. They gassed them. So this was a story told to us by this guy who was there. And this was, his name is called Eli Wiesel. If you Google him, you will find him, Eli Wiesel. So what Eli Wiesel did was, he was a young Jewish prisoner in this camp in Auschwitz. And on Christmas morning, the Nazis put them all in one line, all the prisoners, and then they picked up a small boy, a young man from that group, and then they brought him out. And after that, what they did was they stripped him naked and they started whipping him in front of everybody, in front of the prisoners. And they whipped him until he died. So Eli Wiesel was watching all this. And he was saying, and as he was watching all this, somebody at the back said, he heard somebody in the back saying, where is God? Where is God in all this? And so I think for us also today, when we look at our world, we look at how broken it is by the COVID and all these pragmatic politics and all that, we too can actually say, where is God? Where is God in all this? So this voice from behind Eli Wiesel said, where is God in all this, as they saw the young man being put to death? And Eli Wiesel, and then there was a silence. And all of a sudden there was another voice that came from the back. And he said, there he is. There he is, in front of us, being put to death. There is God. So what we're trying here to say is, and then there's another accompanying story to this there was this, again, this guy, he is called, oh my gosh, I wrote all this down so that I will not forget it. It's this other guy, he's a theologian, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He's a German theologian who was killed because he was against the Nazi. He was against Hitler. He spoke up against Hitler. So this was also at the same time Dietrich Bonhoeffer was saying. It was on Christmas Eve, and he went around his village, and his village had just been bombed. So there was chaos and bombing. And as he walked around in the snow and in this chaos, he noticed that there were little patches, there were crypts in their little town. There were people that erected small little crypts. But in these crypts, what was happening was some people had lighted candles in these crypts. And actually, Dietrich was astonished when he saw this because he said, this is crazy. Who would want to light candles in this bombing, amongst this catastrophe? And he was quite astonished by it. And he said, who would see these candles? But Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, I saw the candles. And it gave me hope. It gave me hope. these candles because there is still life. God is still present, even in our vulnerabilities, in our brokenness. And so, even as we enter into Christmas now, this is what we have to remember. The baby Jesus, who is so vulnerable, he came to us as a vulnerable baby in the crib to be one with our brokenness. So, what at the end of the day, as divine mercy followers, what is important for us, I think, is to light our candle, to light whatever candle we can, wherever we are. We don't have to go to the refugee. Sometimes it's just our neighbor. Sometimes it's just within our family. But it is to light that candle so that the light of God can shine for others to see. And when they see it, they will praise the Lord. That is all. Not us. We are just here to just light the candles. That's all. We're not important. But that is the story of Advent, I feel. So I think the thing is for us, the candle you light will give others hope. What I've written here is the candle you light will give others hope. And I believe that as a follower of Christ and a devotee of the divine mercy, that is what we are all called to do, to light our little candle and witness the life of Christ with us. So what better time to start lighting this candle than during these last Advent days as we approach Jesus, as we approach Christmas, and embrace the gift that the child Jesus is giving to us in the crib. And so with this, I shall end.
Thank you very much, Anne. Thank you so much for that beautiful, happy sharing this Christmas. Remember what Anne said in our Advent. If we go to church, or if we just look at the Advent candles, no, in the wreath in our churches, we have 4 candles. Remember, for
Yes.
hope, for peace, which is exactly what Anne said, for love, and for joy. And she has said, sometimes we ask ourselves, on I
Yeah.
know many, even Divine Mercy devotees, especially at times of brokenness, you ask yourself, where is God?
Yes. Yes.
Where
We do
is
ask that. Where is God? Yes. Where
where
is
is
God?
God?
And I think God is present in those who are suffering. You see,
Correct.
those who are bearing the cross, they are the ones. Because Saint Avila always tells us the covering of suffering. Suffering is just the covering. Remove it, grace is at work below. You see, so when people suffer, of course, it's very hard, but we know, like Saint Teresa of Avila told us, is the grace is below the suffering. The covering is the suffering, but if you're able to sit in that suffering with the Lord, the grace will be revealed because grace is at work here. You see?
Exactly what one of the messages of Saint Faustina's diary would be: the more sufferings I give to you, the more graces
Yes.
you will have. And in a way, suffering strengthens all of us, Anne, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
no,
That's right.
we all have our own sufferings. And
Yes.
God would never
Yeah.
send us a suffering that we cannot handle. And after
Yes.
that, we become stronger in faith. We
Yes. Yes.
become better persons. Our perspective and how we look at things
Mhm.
changes. And in a way, we see God in everyone's faces, right?
Yes, yes. And
People
that is
are
why, I mean, yes. So when Pope
everywhere.
Francis said, I've come to look into your eyes and see your faces, I think that is so beautiful. When we meet each other, it is to look into that person's face and to recognize Christ in that person, to look into the eyes and say, I am here with you. So this helps to build community. I think this is what Father Monty says is the highest form of creation and creativity is community. And community, this is the thing, because we are all here together and we journey together into this fullness of life. We enter together. We don't go alone. We can't go alone. you
The
know,
highest form, what did you say again, Anne? The
the
highest form
highest,
of
the highest
creativity.
form of creativity and creation is
And
community. It's
okay,
building community.
correct.
It's building community. Yes. So if you look at the saints and
Even
all that,
among
they
our
always
even among our Divine Mercy devotion is a community
Yes,
by itself.
exactly. Exactly. You see the divine mercy. And I think for most of us, when we pray the divine mercy, before we enter into it, that silence is very important because it is that silence you keep for a moment before you start your prayer to just be in that silence and then focus on your breathing. Breathing in love, breathing out love, breathing in love, breathing out love, and then slowly you immerse yourself into that mercy. And as you enter into that mercy, you bring to God all your brokenness. You know, not only, and you don't tell God, solve it for me. No, no, no. It's not so much, lots of us think that when you go to divine mercies, the Lord is going to solve all our problems. No, it is actually sitting there, just like the refugees. They wait at the borders, like Father Monty was telling us. All of us in our lives, we have got borders. You see, borders created out of fear, borders created out of prejudice, borders created out of, all kinds of our baggage, of our hurts from the past. So they stop us from moving forward deeper into our faith, into our spirituality. So each of us has to recognize that we are called. Sometimes, like the refugees, we sit at the borders, we wait. And the waiting is not a waiting in just waiting, but it is a waiting with expectation and with hope and wonder, especially in Christmas. It's that waiting in wonder, waiting in hope, waiting in expectation. So that's what the refugees do. They have come to seek for a better life. So, like us who are doing divine mercy, this is what it is. I always see us as divine mercy followers and you can only enter into your brokenness when you recognize you need a kind of humility within you, a deep humility to say, Nyakupa, Nyakupa, it is mine, but I am stuck. Only you can take it. Only you can release me, Lord. I can't do it. And I think God wants us to say, recognize that, because there is only one Savior. He has saved the world. Correct. And actually, the prayer of divine mercy is one of the most simple and most beautiful prayers. For the sake of his sorrowful passion, have mercy on us.
And on the whole world.
That's all. And an eternal Father, I offer you the body and blood, soul and divinity of your dearly beloved Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. We are, because one of the priests, I remember at the questions, he said, we have the right to offer it up because we are a priestly people. Because we are baptized, we are priestly people. So we offer it up for each other. So for me, that is the beauty of the divine mercy. Yeah.
What you said about offer, that's very important for the devotees. We can say we can offer it because we are priestly people. Because some people are saying it. I think in our akum that how can you say you offer? It's only priest who can offer. But how can you lay people say we offer? And they were saying because when we pray, we are also in a stage of being priestly, and so and I like it when you say before you pray, please.
Yes, I think it's important because otherwise we tend to get into this second sorrow passion, that sort of thing. But it is that stilling and preparation of the attitude that you bring into. So whenever I do divine mercy with any group or even with myself alone, I always do that. I just still myself and I just enter into it and breathing love, breathing out love. That's a very simple prayer. Nothing too, just breathing in love, breathing out love. And then you'll be surprised, the joy and all that will come to you. That's it.
Yeah, we can see the joy is radiating from the way you speak and from your facial expression. Yeah, we learned so much. Ida, our friend Ida is back. Ida, you're on mute.
Ida, yes, Ida. I can't hear you, Ida.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I muted myself.
Oh,
Probably I was just so mesmerized with every you're sharing and with your voice, and I forgot I muted myself and everything. I'm supposed to come in at 4:45. I just forgot entirely about it. And it was such a beautiful sharing. It's already 4:07. We're
oh my goodness me.
already
Oh,
beyond the 1 hour, but maybe Miss Anne could give way to a special request by somebody from Davao who is also one of the leaders of the Divine Mercy. Miss
uh-huh.
Dr. Catherine Perando says, I wish to hear a sample of your Divine Mercy chaplet chant.
Oh no.
So I don't know, maybe you can give all of us or
We can
whatever.
all do it together. I don't know. I mean, we always do it. No, it's just very simple. But it's just no. Don't embarrass me. What we can do is one day you come together and in a Zoom we will do the Divine Mercy
Oh,
together.
perfect. Let's do that.
Yes,
Let's do that. Because
let's
we
do
have
that.
it here in the
Yes,
Philippines, we're praying
yes,
the Divine Mercy as a song, and we often do it. We have,
yes,
well, in Davao alone, we have
yes.
like so many devotees, hundreds of
Yes.
devotees, 400,
Now, what
500.
we can do is, you see, just three or four of us, even we can invite Dr. Who to come in
Yeah,
as well.
just the executive committee and you
Yes.
probably will
And we
learn
can
from you.
enter into it, how we do it. Because we can always say, for the sake of a sorrowful passion, it is not good. For the sake of a sorrowful passion. So you enter into it. Have mercy on us and on the whole world.
Oh my God.
You got to sing with your breath. You got to mean it, every word, for the sake. So it's
You
always that.
sing it very well. It's giving me goosebumps.
And finally, the Christmas wish of Dr. Catherine Perandos has been granted by Miss Anne herself. Georgie, I hope you won't forget to invite me when
Yeah,
you
I
will have
will. I will.
the
I know,
session
you
with
know,
Miss
I think
Anne.
that's good. It will be good if we can do that another time. Just get together and let's learn how to deepen this. Because I believe this Divine Mercy is so beautiful. We have just touched the surface. We have not gone deep yet. There is so much depth in it, you know. So let's do it.
I'll also invite the other Divine Mercy the leaders of the
Yes,
Divine
yes,
Mercy, probably
yes,
10 or 12 of us all over the country.
yes,
And then
yes.
have us. I know how busy you are, Anne. Really, how
No,
very
I'm willing. I mean, for the
find
Lord, let's do it. Why not?
find
It
time.
makes a difference because if you listen to the people singing in, I think it was on YouTube, I heard, the other people singing the Divine Mercy. Oh, the voices are so beautiful. It is, I don't know how to tell you because it is the entering into that mercy of God, and together you sing with the saints. The saints are singing with us. It's not us alone. So that is the beauty of this. Your voice doesn't have to be perfect or what, but I can train you on how to sing your voice.
I love that.
So you must not be shy, so you just sing. I mean, we can do a music therapy session also, then you will know what it is
I
like.
like the music therapy.
Yeah.
That's the best Christmas gift at the hour of three is going to receive. And we thank you so much, Miss Anne, because we're really looking forward to having a Divine Mercy in action. And the
Yes.
music therapy that you will be teaching us will also be brought to others, as
Yes.
others are also being brought to us by the Lord of Mercy. So,
Thank you very much.
It's already 4:11. Much as we still want to go through it,
No, no, no.
time is very limited. So,
Yes.
from myself, Miss Anne, thank you so much and Merry Christmas from the Philippines, especially from Manila. And I'm looking forward to really be on session with you and the rest of the Divine
Yes. We
Mercy.
will. We will.
Yeah, to learn more from you. And I'd like to thank you so much for a wonderful Christmas
Yes.
gift that you have given us. G, maybe you can do the closing.
Thank you very much, Anne. Thank you very much. Just such a beautiful Christmas gift To those who are listening to us, please do share. It's a wonderful sharing. It's a
Yes.
happy sharing. Please do share
Yes.
it with your friends. And remember what Anne said, the highest form of creativity and creation is building communities. So let's start building communities with faith, hope, love, and joy. Merry Christmas to you, Anne, to your big
Thank
family
you.
of doctors, to your
Thank you for
beautiful.
inviting me. Thank you for inviting me. It's beautiful. Having known you, you're beautiful ladies. It's my joy.
Merry
It's my joy to meet
Christmas to
you.
each and every one of you, and to our we are going to give the link to Anne so that she
Yes.
may also share it with our Singaporean brothers and sisters in the Divine Mercy. Thank you very much,
Thank
and we look
you. Thank
forward
you.
to seeing
Bye
you
bye.
again.
Yes.
Happy
See you.
holidays.
Yes. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas. And a Happy New Year to everybody. A blessed New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year too.
The preceding was a paid program. The views and opinions expressed do not reflect those of Talk Live channel.